My name is Jeff Gibby. I'm joined by the lovely Melissa Armo. She's going to be talking a little bit today. If you're tuning into a TickerTalk for the first time, hey, it's good to see you. I just want to give you an idea. It's not your typical webinar around technical analysis. We're not going to look at a lot of charts. This is a longer form podcast. So if you have questions as we go, make sure you chat them. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps a great deal, and we really appreciate it. So before we get going, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a little bit of a legal disclaimer. This just keeps my attorneys happy. And then we'll go ahead and kind of just go. So today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell any securities, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading securities. MetaStock, the Traders Forum LLC, their employees, and their guests disclaim all liability for investment decisions by investors based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the companies. MetaStock Traders Forum, their employees, and guest speakers do not endorse the purchase of a security, nor are they paid for the promotion of a security. No information contained in the presentation today should be construed as investment advice or the solicitation to buy a security. So, welcome. Thank you for watching. If you are watching this on YouTube, you haven't yet, I want to send an invite to you. Join our community. We do chats with other traders. We're talking about the markets all the time. Yesterday, we did a class on Dow theory. It's a great community. It's totally free. www.thetradersforum.com. And I want to invite you to do that. Our guest today is Melissa Armo. As you can see, she's right now right below me. But you can find her at thestockswoosh.com. Very, very pleasant. I love working with Melissa. We've had her on a number. How many times do you think you spoke for us before, Melissa?
I've lost track, but this is the first time I've ever doing this thing.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be fun. Just not a guarantee. Let's see. I have a bio for you here. Founder and owner of an international education company where I teach people how to successfully trade the market. The method I teach and created is unique to the stock swoosh. The method is based on a strategy called the Golden Gaps, which pinpoints institutional money in the market. Executive producer and creator of a television show titled Make a Million with Melissa. What to do and how to do it. TV expert, analyst, Fox News, Fox Business News, RT America, Cheddar TV, CBS News Corporation. So there's your bio, just in case you forgot it.
I'm going to update that. There's a couple new channels on there. I just was on the Dr. Phil's new network the other week, a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
Did you know Dr. Phil started a channel? You have it. I'm sure you have it. It's called Merritt Street Television.
Okay.
He started huge, and I hope he makes it.
Yeah. Does he do a lot of financial advice, or were you kind of
a news channel? It shows all day long. Nancy Grace has a show there now. He does his show, but they have news. So I was on a news show in the morning, actually.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Let me talk to you a little bit about your background. Obviously, you trade a lot of gaps and that kind of stuff. How was kind of trading the market and teaching people how to trade kind of a first option for you? Because I talked to a lot of people where it's kind of something that they just kind of fell into a little bit.
Well, I started out my career in finance in banking, actually graduated and got my first job as a teller. So I was a teller and I worked my way up the ranks very quickly in the banking industry. So I always loved money. I always loved finance. And then I moved into doing mortgages, and that was great because it was basically unlimited income, as much as I wanted to work, as many loans as I got from people. So that was fabulous until it wasn't, which was when the industry changed, and that was 2007, 2008 with the whole mortgage industry collapse, and that was just crazy. And at that time, then I realized I needed a new career. So I can't say I fell into it, but I knew that I wanted to trade for a career. I knew that I needed a new career. And I knew that I also wanted something that had unlimited potential for income. I hadn't worked a salary job for so long. I'll probably never have a salary job again. It's just one of these things where, you know, when you're a motivated person, when you're an independent person, when you're that type of personality that I have, very driven, you know, you don't want to basically just live with a set paycheck. So that's the interesting thing about trading in the market. The better you are, the more you risk, the more you can make. Of course, there's always a possibility you can lose when you're trading, but if you're good at what you do, then you obviously have more winners than losers. So, then I took one class in trading and I did learn how to make money, but I knew that I wanted to do it. And then I set out myself to develop my own system. And then I just realized I had a voice starting to talk on YouTube. So I've had my channel on YouTube since before I even started the business. And then it kind of just morphed into me teaching because friends of mine said, you should do this and you should do that and you should teach people. And what are you doing, Melissa, kind of thing. And then I just started doing webinars and obviously built a following on YouTube. And here I am.
Nice. What class did you take?
God, it was so long ago. I don't want to say the name of the place because I don't even think they're around anymore. I think they went under actually. So it's not a place that's around anymore, but it was a basic technical analysis class that taught me, obviously you're selling the charts. It was a class that really taught me how to create.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you could hear yourself, but I went to your YouTube channel to paste it into the link, and I was confused for a second. Anyway, there's the link to the YouTube channel. My apologies.
I learned a good foundation with technical analysis, which is how I developed my system, and I truly believe that that's how you can. The only way to really make money in the market, because if you look at fundamentals, you look at economic data, you look at all of those things, it doesn't always match up. You could have good earnings and the stock could fall. You could have bad earnings and the stock could rally. And again, obviously, if you're looking at trying to predict what the Fed's going to do or a new administration like we're in right now, you can't predict those things. So I think reading price action in charts is really the way to make choices for a long-term trading, short-term trading, day trading that I do, options, anything. And I learned the basics of how to read charts in the class that I took. But I only ever took one class. And so, I really wanted to get into doing gaps. And there just really wasn't anything out there about gaps. And even today, 17 years later, there's really not that much out there about gaps, even still now today. And I find that what is out there, most of what is out there isn't developed, isn't very intricate, and some of it isn't even correct.
So do you know what initially attracted you to gaps in general?
I made a lot of money on a gap and I made a lot of money shorting. And that's what I said, oh my God, this is it. This is it. Actually, I think it was Netflix was the first trade that I took and I made a lot of money in, and the price of the stock was nowhere near what it was today. But it moved really fast, really quick, fast in the gate out of the open. That was something I realized, that trading in the morning was the most profitable time to trade. I realized that pretty quick. I also realized you only need to do one trade a day to make a living doing this too. And it was a short and it was a gap. And I said, oh my God, there's something to this. And again, people talk about size, small size, big size. If you have 1,000 shares of something, you can make $1,000 in, 5 minutes. And that's a lot of money. So to be able to make, what I call a comma trade, anything with a 1 and a comma, or 2 and a comma, anything a comma trade in several minutes or seconds is phenomenal. Because again, when I was doing mortgages, I would, take someone's loan application, get them approved. They would find a house. It could be a year till I even got paid on a loan that I was working on for 12 months, even when times were good. So to be able to make money like that and take it out the next day if I wanted it, that was like, I was like, oh, this is it. I'm hooked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you typically when you're doing a trade like that, are you typically holding overnight? How long is your hold time typically?
My day trades, I'm in and out very quickly. We shorted Walmart today. I got in, got out. Boom. I was done really quick. It kept going even after I get out of it. Now I do options. I'm in the put. I called a put today in Walmart too. I think it's lower. Whether I get out of it for the end of the day or not depends on where it goes. I think it's slower. I think the market's slower right now. We're selling off today too, but I will do options, but I don't consider them long trades. We're doing the weekly options.
Okay.
I'll hold an option overnight if that's what you're asking me.
Yeah, I'm just kind of getting an idea for kind of how long you're in a trade when you're in a particular trade. Do you hold anything long term? Like, do you have
it's so funny. All these places are soliciting me to invest in them. I get calls all the time. I got a call the other day, and then I almost hung up on the guy. Banks are calling me all the time to invest. It's, I'm such a stickler for getting a good entry on a trade. I'm not currently swing trading, but if you're asking about my retirement account, I'm really, really, really a stickler about getting a good entry retirement account, which is funny because really, if I want to go long something, I could just go long wherever if I think it's higher. But I'm such a stickler about that because I want to know because of the trader side of me. And it's so funny because I get solicited by all these places all the time. Like I said, and they want you to go there and invest money and do this and do that. And it's like, I know that I know more than them. So it's really hard for me to go to like a person like that, as far as that goes. So I have retirement, but I'm not in any swing trades right now.
Okay. Are you still, do you still do videos on YouTube all the time?
I do. It's so funny though, because I live in New York City. I think, I live in Central Park because you've seen so many videos. I've started posting nature videos since I moved a couple of years ago along the park, and my nature videos get just as many, if not more, hits and views than my trading videos. So while I do post trading videos, I probably could post more. I'm just so busy, like I'll try to get a video out today at 1 or 2, but like I have a class this weekend. And so I won't get anything done this weekend. So I probably don't post as much as I used to, as much as I should, but I'm showing other parts of myself or my life so people can get to know me and see that I really live in New York. I'm a really real person. And obviously I have time that I can go and, visit the park because of the fact that I'm not, sitting behind a desk 8-10 hours a day. I have time to go walk in the park. If it wasn't 11 degrees today, I'd probably go walk this afternoon. It's a nice day. It's sunny, but it is so cold right now in New York City.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the first video, I think, was the turtle that I got from you.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
The turtles are hibernating right now. They're still in there. They go down to the bottom of the lake and they hibernate, and then they come up whenever they come up. I don't know when the weather breaks, which is like March or April, but I'm really watching because like the last couple of years, again, I just moved to the park 3 years ago. Like I never quite seem to get the cherry blossoms poof right when they're all out. Like even last year I saw some, but like if we get rain, then all the cherry blossoms fall. So like I'm like really watching now, when the weather breaks, because I want to see the cherry blossoms like every weekend. I've got to get out there to see the cherry blossoms in the park because it's absolutely gorgeous. If you've never been to New York or Central Park, you've got to come visit because it's really, really nice. But all those animals, all the things I love about New York City, there's still animals out actually in the winter. I took a walk a couple of weeks ago. It was the first walk I took since probably November because it's so cold. I saw raccoons. In fact, I put those videos. Did you see that? You should go look at those.
I think I saw one from you that was hawks. I did not see the raccoon one.
Yep, there's a raccoon, and he was looking right at me. He was literally looking right at me out of his hole in the tree. And the only reason that I knew the raccoon lived in the tree was I had seen them. It's a raccoon den. They were living in the tree, and I'd seen him crawl into that hole. And I just happened to look, and it was early in the morning, and there he was, and he was sticking his head out.
Did you get close?
No, I never get close to any animals. There are some people that feed the birds and feed them. Like, I don't know. There's 2 coyotes in the park. You shouldn't get close to animals. I just observe from afar. I like taking the videos. And again, it's really, doing something where you're on all the time. I would say I can be perfect for like 30 minutes a day when I'm trading, get everything right, get my entry, get my exit, get my pick. But that's why I like pulling myself out and going into the park and doing something relaxing like that in nature because it helps me just unwind and turn my brain off because I'm so full on. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Did you do anything to prepare for the trading day?
I get up in the morning, I scan, and I'm looking to see what earnings are out or what's happening in the market, if there's any financial reports for the day. So yeah, I just check around and see in the morning as far as getting the gaps, because I go through my process of rating my gaps in the morning. That's how I make my pick of what I'm doing. That's what I teach in the class. And then, of course, I have to look and see if the Fed's going to talk today, if there's any meetings, any economic data, things like that.
So do you typically just decide on one gap? Here's the stocks that gapped out of all of them, or are you generally in a couple of them?
No, I mean, I try to look at as much as I can or think I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. But I try to narrow it down to one. Now, another one I looked at this morning was BABA. It was up. I wasn't crazy about it, but it actually went. But I liked Walmart. Like, so if Walmart had set up, if it hadn't worked, then I probably would have flipped over to check out the BABA. But that rallied today. But then it started to fall off. So that would have been a quick trade in and out too. And I wouldn't have done an option in it, and I didn't do an option in the BABA because I'm not sure if it continues. But if I usually will look at a bunch of stuff, I mean, I don't rush it. I get up early in the morning, go for my walk in the park or work out, then come back. And I take my time and scan and look and see what's out there. So again, I may have 5 things, 6 things, 7 things. I may have 2. but I try to do only one thing a day.
And typically, so how much time do you think you spend trading, actually in the trade, looking at the trade versus, and then I'm going to ask you, how much time do you do finding that trade? How much time?
I spend more time trying to do the pre-work than I do in the trade. Absolutely. So like usually in an ideal world, I'm in and out of trades in 5, 10, 15 minutes. I mean, it's not that I never, ever, ever hold a trade. I will hold a trade if it's still going or I like it or I got in something late or I've got the market with me or something. But for the most part, I prefer to be done in 5, 10, 15 minutes. So I might spend an hour getting ready and then 5 minutes in the trade.
What I know, obviously you're looking for gaps and stuff like that. How much does kind of what else is going on in the broader market factor into decisions and kind of does it factor at all? Like if the Fed is speaking today, does that affect you?
Well, I look at that for targets. So in other words, and if I think the market, so that's not whether or not I want to do it. It's after a minute. So again, the put in the Walmart today, I think the market's lower. So I think it's fine if people are still in the put. So again, I'm like, okay, there's no rush to get out of this right now because I think the market's lower. So it has to do with the live day, if I've got the market with me or not, as far as the target. That's what I'm really looking for when I'm saying that. But the market's been sideways for most of the year. It's bullish, but it's been back and forth, and very choppy. So if you need the market for your trades, which I don't, but I watch that for targets, but if you need the market for your trades, you're having a tough year. I mean, there's just no way about it. If you're looking to trend trade or if you're even trying to do the market, you're getting whipsaws actually, because you could be long the cues, short the cues, or long and short, and it's just been nutty if you've been trying to trade the market. We're not in any market trades right now.
Okay. You had talked a little bit about kind of the change in administration and that kind of stuff. Is that fed into kind of the stocks that you're looking at? Do you feel like there's going to be winners or gainers with the new Trump administration? Kind of give me an idea of your thought process there.
I think companies I think the big companies, the big, huge companies, Amazon, Meta, Apple, a lot of big companies, which we trade, they're going to be the benefactors of the Trump tax cuts having, because they're going to continue them, and then maybe make some changes to that. And they're they're talking about maybe making them permanent. So large corporations are definitely going to benefit from that when they get to that. So none of that's like for sure yet. But if I almost said Biden, if Harris had won, then they were going to expire. So then I think a lot of those companies would have had possibly more layoffs, definitely, would have seen a negative reaction. So we're not talking about right now, maybe second quarter, maybe spring, summer, whenever they get around to what's happening with the tax cuts. That could have a positive impact on large corporations.
Okay.
In that sense, yeah,
Are you primarily doing just stocks, or do you trade other instruments too, like FOREX, futures, coins?
No, I don't do anything else like that. I only do stocks, and then again, I trade ETFs like the QQQs or the SPY. I'm not in anything like that right now, but I only trade the U.S. stock market. I only trade stocks because, again, for example, in the FOREX market, I only trade gaps. There's only one gap a week because there's only one close and open.
Right, sure.
So there's really because I'm only trading gaps as my method and system. Yes, I only trade the U.S. stock market. And again, I've gotten really good at what I do because I don't do anything else. So again, it's a misnomer when people think they have to do everything. And if they do tons and tons of things or tons and tons of trades, they'll make more money. Actually, the opposite is true. And like I said, that's something that I learned very on, because when I would trade all day from 9:30 to 4 and have, 50 trades that I went back and looked at, and did, I would be in the hole. I was never up on those days, or I'd start the day down and come back and be flat and then down with commission. So one and done, one is all you need. And then again, you could do options too, but it's really, again, about getting really, 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 really good at one strategy and one system, and then excelling in that. And then you build a sixth sense, and then you just get better over time. It's like when you try to do too many things, you just can't be good at everything. And it's not like I'm just talking people out of doing different things if they want to trade different things. I'm just saying, if you really want to become an expert in one thing, that's what you should do. And after you're an expert in that thing, if you want to try something else, fine. But it hasn't been necessary for me to trade anything else, like I said.
Okay. So focus on being good at one thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to everything.
Yeah. It's like when you play a sport. You're like, oh, I'm going to play tennis, I'm going to play basketball, I'm going to play baseball, I'm going to play football, I'm going to play soccer. It's like, what? It's just, no, you're not going to be good at all of those things. And you want to excel, and it's even more specific than that. Like even with sports, you would focus on that position. Same thing, even if you were a physician, when you would have a specialty, you would focus on that. Or if you wanted to be an attorney, you would have a specialty and you focus on that. You said, well, I'm going to go to this guy for this because he's the best or whatever. And that's really how the trading is no different than any other high income career. It's just that people tend to think that if they learn a lot of everything, then they're going to make a lot of money. But that's not true. You actually have to get good. And a lot of people never really get good, actually.
For sure. Do you have anybody that you would consider like a mentor when you started to learn how to trade that was helpful for you?
No, I mean, again, in the first class I took, I learned, and that person was really good at technical analysis, but I can't say that person was a mentor because I couldn't call that person on the phone and talk to them or email them and get a response. The one thing again that I do offer people, a boutique firm, is that I will answer the phone. I will call people back. I will talk to them. I'll respond to their email. They're getting me. So, I've been able to manage and control the business so that I am offering that to people. And, because I didn't really have that personalized service, and a lot of places don't because they've just gotten so big, or they're just not hands-on. I'm very hands-on with people that I teach, again, because they can access me, whether it's every day in the room, they can chat a question, or they can call me and I'll answer the phone.
A lot of people kind of stand when you start to talk a little bit about gaps, they get a little bit nervous about gas. Simply,
why is that? You tell me why that is. I mean, again, I've been doing this for so long.
Because I think a lot of people are like, well, is this an exhaustion gap? Is this a continuation gap? Is this a island reversal gap? Like, how do I know what I'm looking at? I think
they don't know. And that's why I developed a 26-point method to determine if the gap is going to continue in the direction of the gap. And if it is, for the example of Walmart, the stock gap down, we shorted it, then I do it. And if it's not, then I don't do it. So again, a lot of people, it's not that simple. Again, the other thing about trading is, again, it's the same, whether it's gaps or anything else, it's not black or white. Things are not black and white in the market or in trading. You got to learn to move into the gray. Here's a good example. The market made, technically, if you want to get technical, the QQQs made brand new all-time highs the other day. We did not go long. Could you have looked at that and said, well, this is a breakout? Maybe. Could you have got, out of it or got into it? Maybe. Like, again, I don't short resistance, but the fact is that to me, it was not black and white. And I said, no, we're still in the range. And guess what? We're falling today. So we're still in the range. So the range just like expanded like this. So again, a lot of people want to be very black and white with their trading, and you can't be like that. You have to live in the gray area. And if you live in the gray area, that's where you're going to find the perfection and all the money in the world that you want,
Look, where do you think obviously, you talked a little bit about it already, but a lot of people, when they get into trading, they fell. What do you think that is?
Wait, say that again. What did you say? I couldn't hear.
A lot of people that decide to get into trading actually fail. But why do you think that is?
They do. They lose. Okay.
Right.
People get into trading, they lose money. I don't know if I'd say they fail, because what happens if people start trading, they lose, and then they'll trade for their whole lives and never really get anywhere with it. So it's like they don't, a lot of times people don't accept that they're not getting anywhere with it. And they just keep trying to trade and risking money, but they never really get serious about it. So it's like, if someone would actually quit and say, I'm never going to do this again, you could say that person has failed. But in my experience, the people that I've talked to, or again, the number of people that are following me, because I've had the business now for 14 years, is that people never really quit. They just kind of half-ass it. Like they'll just never really give it 100%. They don't really, if you put them to the test, they don't really think they're ever going to be successful or make money doing it, but yet they keep risking money all the time, and they keep going to every webinar, and they never take it seriously. Could they succeed? Of course they could. Anyone could succeed if they want to try. But people start trading, lose money, and then they never really give it their full effort, and they're just back and forth pretty much for their entire lives. And again, while you could say sometimes people just full on flat out quit, what I found is that that's really not the case. A lot of times people take a break, go back, take a break, go back, but they never really take it seriously. And you do have to take it seriously. You're not going to make any money, not $1, not 1,000, not 100,000, nothing,
How important do you think is discipline when you're trading?
I think it's part of it as far as, putting your stop in, which I use stops for my day trades or going within your risk. I think that it's more people fail and lose money because they don't know what to do. So I think that's more of a factor. Sometimes people want to blame themselves. Oh my God, I'm so undisciplined. I can't do it. I need an algorithm. Really, if they were doing the right thing, they would be okay, even if they sometimes screwed up their sizing or the stop. It's most of the time people fail because they don't have a good system and then they're in the wrong direction. Like, for example, if you were going long Walmart today, you'd lose. It's a short.
How long has it been since you had your first student?
My first student actually is one of my closest friends. He works for me now.
Okay.
Rashawn. Have you ever met Rashawn?
Not in person, but I've talked to him a lot by email. Yeah.
Yeah, he was my first student. Here's a funny story. I'll tell you a funny story. We never met in person until last year in 2024. Okay. So him and I were friends. Unlike his, fake wife or whatever, because he's really married with 4 kids, but we talk on the phone every single day. And he, and I met and in a trading room, and he said, oh my God, this girl really knows what she wants to do. I want to learn from this girl. So he signed up for my class. He did my class. And then he was calling me and asking me questions, and I was guiding him through it. And then we just got to be friends. And again, he was my first student. And then we became friends, and we never met because he doesn't live in New York. And then I did a live class in New York last year in 2024, and he came to New York and he helped me with the live class. It was the first time we ever met. So isn't that funny? That's a really funny story, actually.
That's awesome. Yeah, Rashawn's cool. Rashawn, just for context, if you're watching, handles a lot of the back end stuff. I talk to him a lot when we're booking events for you and that kind of stuff, and he does a great job.
Oh, that's nice. I'll tell him, yeah.
What is your favorite part about teaching people?
My favorite part about teaching people is when something clicks with them and they realize something that I say, okay. It could be in the class, could be in the training room, whatever, that a light bulb goes off, and I can tell by the reaction or something that they say. They're like, oh my God, I totally never knew that. And this is so correct or whatever, but I never thought of it. And that's probably, some of of course, when people make money and they send me emails that they're happy and they made this much money, whatever, is great. But as far as the teaching aspect of it, like when a light bulb goes off for people and they're like, oh my God, I totally get it now. I totally see it. Because of course, it took me a long time to come up with what I do. It was 3 years. But I just pull everything together in a 2-day class for people to learn it. So I make it convenient for people to learn it all in one shot. Whereas it was 3 years of my life. And, looking back, it's like if I could have paid to learn it in a weekend and 2 days, it would have been great. But of course, my path was different.
Right. Do you have anything that you would find particularly frustrating about teaching people?
I think I wouldn't say frustrating, but I'd say challenging. The most challenging thing teaching people is that I can't read people's minds. So again, unless people ask me a question, I don't know what they're thinking. So I think the most challenging thing is sometimes I know people don't get something, but I can't read their mind, what they don't get to explain it. Do you know what I mean? I try my best to break things down. I think I do a good job of it. And again, the room is a good support system for people. But I think the most challenging thing is I can't read people's minds. Everyone's coming from a different background. Some people are new, some people are doing this forever. And so sometimes it's hard to figure out, what people don't understand to explain it better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Do you have a trade that particularly taught you a lesson? And what was it?
What'd you say?
Have you had a trade that has taught you a lesson?
Oh my God, I've had a ton of trades that have taught me lessons. I mean, it's been a long time since I've made a lot of mistakes like that. But I mean, I can't think of any one specific trade, but of course, some of the stuff that I've done in the past, when I was back and forth with my trading before I made it, so-and-so, and, started moving forward, was I would go after something too many times. So like I would take a trade and it would stop, and then I would go after it again and it would stop again. I'd go after it again and it'd stop again. Like I was so sure of myself that this thing was going to fall or rally or whatever, that would just hammer it, hammer it, hammer it. And then, of course, digging myself a hole in the day. Now, I tend to do a trade. If I stop, I'll do a retake. I call it a retake. But I'm really not doing more than one retake now at this point in my career. But in the past, I've dug myself holes by just chomping at the bit with something. Now I accept, like, there might be something I like, and it might be something on the day that rates good, and it doesn't work. And who knows why it doesn't work? It might be because of the market, might be because of news, might be because something happened. But sometimes you have to accept that something doesn't work. So I usually don't go after something now more than once after the first stop. And in the past, that was a mistake that I made because I was so sure of myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That revenge trading sometimes.
Yeah. Well, not revenge trading, but just like saying, I know this is going to fall. But usually what happens is if it doesn't fall that day, again, sometimes there's a reason, sometimes there's not. That's the other thing, talk about black and white. Sometimes you can say, well, why didn't this work? Well, it just didn't. And you can bang your head against the wall and try to figure it out. Sometimes there's nothing there to learn. It just doesn't. That's the odds. You're playing the odds. But now I realize if it doesn't work and I take a stop the one day, I watch it the next day. Or again, I might do an option in it. And then the next day it goes. You know what I mean? So I don't have to hammer it that particular day. If I take 2 trades, it doesn't work, I'm off.
Are there psychological pitfalls when there's trading gaps? Are there problems people kind of face when they're trading?
I think it's not specifically with gaps. I would say the psychological pitfalls just of trading are that people tend to go into that mode of gambling and they're too focused on the money and not focused enough on the chart and what the chart's telling them. And again, I'm sure, you realize that too. Like, it's hard not to look at your P&L, like particularly with options. I could call a trade on a Monday and it doesn't go, it's down. And then people want to kill it. Well, it's got a whole week. It's not doing anything wrong. It's fine. So again, people have a difficult time being patient. And so I think one of the pitfalls for people is they tend to gamble. They have a hard time being patient. And people in general, I'm totally generalizing here, but again, in general, people tend to risk more than they can afford to lose. They say they can afford to lose and they might have the money in the account, but they really don't want to lose in anything. And that's just not realistic.
But professionally, what do you find are core motivators for you?
Money's a motivator for me. It's always it's now. And again, it was in my banking career. It was when I do mortgages. It is now in my life. I wouldn't get up and, work every day if money didn't motivate me. I like having a nice lifestyle, like living in an expensive place. I like nice things. So money is definitely number one, my motivator. And I think that's what makes me actually good at running the room. Because if I didn't care about making money, then the room wouldn't do well. So if you're following me and you know that I want to make money, then chances are we're going to get the trade. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Do you have any strategies to deal with frustration? Maybe a trade didn't go exactly the way that you want. Do you have any suggestions for ways to develop resilience when you're frustrated?
I think just in general, people need to be tougher. I think, the last 5 years since COVID have taught people that if they put 2 and 2 together, so people just need to get tougher. You know what I mean? I think if you've got a thick skin, you can do it. It was funny, a long time ago when I first started out, some guy said to me, "You're going to make it." I said, "Well, how do you know?" And he said, "Well, tough chicks make it," he said. And I kind of laughed at that he saw that in me. But again, it's funny because most of the people that I teach are men. So, and typically you say, well, men are very strong and men are very tough and things like that. But again, I find that sometimes men tend to be impatient. You know what I mean? So one of the reasons I like to short, yeah. Well, one of the reasons I like to short is short trades. The stocks drop faster than they rally. So I liked fast trades. We like to do the fast trades. Again, Walmart today was a fast trade, but not every trade goes right away. And you have to be patient. And I think men tend to, get ahead of themselves sometime. And whether it's learning, whether it's trading, whether they're learning through the process again, or taking their time, trading small size, where they're learning it. I think in general, people need to be more patient with themselves and not to get ahead of their skis, as they say. So I think that's something that through time, people just have to get stronger and tougher. And it's not just with trading, it's anything in life. People go through ups and downs. It's not the end of the world. And just because you lost money trading last year doesn't mean you have to lose money trading this year. Just because you failed in the past doesn't mean that you can't be successful in the future. People want guarantees. If you want a guarantee, I'll give you this. If you quit, you definitely will not make it. So guess what? Don't quit and actually give it some effort. People want everything yesterday, tomorrow. They want everything so quickly. They want everything so cheap. That's not reality. That's not reality. And again, living in New York gives me I've always been like this, but living in New York where you have, the economic levels are so different, homeless people and billionaires, like here they are, like right up up against each other. So it's like, I see what it is. And I see like, what's the difference between this person that's homeless and this person that's a billionaire? Now, sometimes it's, illness, mental things. Sometimes it's this, but how did the person start to get homeless and how did the person get to be a billionaire? Not all of it is inherited wealth. I mean, trust me when I say some of the most successful, wealthiest people that I know work their asses off. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of people say, oh, they're rich, they have it all easy. No, a lot of people work their asses off. So, you know what I mean? People, you just can't have everything for nothing.
Do you feel like you've made it?
I don't know how you define made it. If this is it, if this is as good as my life gets, I'm happy. Put it that way.
Do you feel like you're going to live in New York forever?
It would take just a mountain to get me out of New York, probably. I mean, I'd have to fall in love with someone and want to go live where he lives, and it would have to be still an amazing place for me to want to leave New York. I mean, I've been here. I stayed through COVID. I've been here for a very long time. Everything and anything I ever want is here. Like it would be tough for me to go live in someplace else, some other city, and like want to go out or get something or buy something or do something and it's closed. I mean, everything is 24/7 in New York. And now that I'm along the park, I mean, it's like everything I want is here. It's like I'm on top of the world of fashion and music and, nightlife and, everything is here. So it would be tough to leave New York at this point in my life.
Would you say there's anything that's a disadvantage for you about living in New York?
Oh my God, the crime for one.
Okay.
Unless I'm going really close, or taking a car where I'm getting right out and going in some place, I have like very expensive bags that I haven't bought a bag in probably 8 years. I'm not carrying a nice bag anymore in the city because someone could come along on an e-bike and swipe it. And that's what people are doing. So when I go out, I always have a crossbody bag and it's not an expensive one anymore. Or I have my phone in my coat or something so they can't see it with a credit card. Crime is bad in New York. That's a negative. I never take the subway. I took the subway the first month I was here and I didn't find it was any faster. And that was like a long time ago. And now it's obviously just gone downhill incredibly. So that's an issue. The illegal migrant situation is an issue. Hopefully that will get cleaned up with the new administration. So those are things that are a problem in New York. So for me, it's really about those two issues. A lot of people complain about the cost of living in New York. I've come to accept it. And New York is expensive. Everything's expensive here more so than other places. And that's why, I'm here and I'm getting all these luxuries because I'm paying for it.
Do you feel like crime's gotten worse in the last, say, 5 years?
Oh, for sure.
All right.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a problem here where they're bringing thousands and thousands of illegals here into the city and they're in the park. They've been sleeping in tents. I've called and reported it. I've talked to police. They say we're not allowed to do anything. Again, we'll see if anything changes. We have a mayor election, a governor election coming up in the next 2 years. So we'll see if things actually change in New York, but people are tired of it. I think that's one of the reasons that Trump won. People are getting sick and tired of things. Some of the most left people that I know, surprisingly, ended up telling me on the down low that they voted for Trump, but I was shocked. Like some people that are, celebrities and things like that would never, ever, 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 ever admit it in public, ended up telling me on the down low that they voted for Trump. So you would be shocked how many people really are tired of, the city's going bankrupt. We're paying for all this stuff. You're seeing this with the Doge, or they're finding out things of the federal government. I'm sure it's in every major city where they're putting money in these programs, and where is it going? I mean, it's not benefiting New Yorkers.
Where do you see yourself in about 5 years? They're kind of doing the same thing. Do you have any?
I don't know. I could be doing the same thing, which is fine. Or I could be retired, in 5 years, so it's like, again, I have a class this weekend, so I'm working all weekend. And, so, who knows if I get tired of doing it, then I'll stop, if I still motivated, to keep pressing forward, then I'll do it, And so we'll see. I mean, I thought about having a career in television. That's something that I still think about on the side and think about pursuing, but it's hard to juggle that with the business as well. It's a lot. So, I mean, who knows? 5 years from now, maybe I have my own television show on Fox News. You know what I mean? Who knows?
I'm your number one viewer.
Oh, okay. Actually, my parents would probably be my number one viewers, and then you. But so we'll see. I mean, I could 5 years. It's such a long time. You know, it's hard for me to even wrap my head around 2026 at this point. You know what I mean? So I could be, you know, off marrying with 3 kids. Who knows?
What? Let's see. I had a good question, and it just left. What do you do when you're not? What do you do? What kind of hobbies do you have when you're not trading?
I really have gotten into birding, which is funny, which seems like you're like, oh, is that a hobby? I naturally just started to get out walking in the park and seeing birds. And then I met these people. There's a birding community in New York. Mm-hmm. I think you've seen pictures and videos of this red-tailed hawk that I talk about often. There's this huge red-tailed hawk that I pretty much discovered. And a man from the National Geographic that's a photographer came to take pictures of this hawk. I found the nest. This is a year ago in the spring, and they're using the same nest. They're going to have babies soon. Like, all these people now are coming to see this hawk, and it's a female hawk and the dad. They came last year. They're coming again this year to see this nest. Is all because of me, because I just started posting videos on Twitter, which is now X, and people found it. So I love nature, I guess. So that's kind of become a hobby, going and taking pictures and videos of birds. And I kind of got into it. I just fell into it. Like I said, it's just a way to get out away from work and to just kind of, you know, decompose. So that is definitely a hobby. And then, of course, I like shopping. I love fashion. I love New York Fashion Week. I love shows. I love movies, you know. So, I mean, there's so much to do in New York. I like going to nice restaurants. So I never have enough time to do everything that I want to do. I mean, again, if you ever said, like, why would I stop doing this? Like, I would have more time to myself, more time for my personal life if I wasn't, you know, running the business.
For sure. Okay, let's pretend I don't know anything about trading. I want to start trading. I want you to give me a piece of advice. Like, where should I start?
I would learn a system before you risk even $1. You know, I would not start trading without having a set system. I would have a system to follow. Again, if you want to learn mine, I could teach you mine. If you want to learn someone else's, fine. But a lot of people start trading, just taking things aimlessly. They lose money. And then, of course, they start feeling negative. So again, if you don't know what to do, you're not going to make money at all. You know, so you got to learn a system, follow that system. If you do it for a while and you realize the system doesn't work, then you learn another system. You know, because I think a lot of people start out trading, like I said, that they get into the gambling mentality. They just buy a stock or short a stock. They don't know what they're doing. They lose money, and they just take ideas from people in chat rooms or online or watching TV. And then once they start losing, then it becomes more complicated. And then that thinking about the losses and the possibility that they're losing, that becomes a negative mindset. And you don't want to take that into your initial beginning experience.
Do you, this is kind of a little bit out of left field, but I'm kind of curious if you have an opinion on the future of Bitcoin and coins in general.
You know, they ask me stuff sometimes about on TV, and I have to say, you know, like, I'm not going to talk about things on national television, and I'm not going to say and pretend I know stuff about something that I don't. I have no idea what the future of Bitcoin is. I have absolutely no idea whatsoever at all. If you're asking me if it ever becomes, you know, fluid currency, that I could go, you know, buy a bagel on the corner and give somebody a Bitcoin for the bagel, I think that is a long away. Why? Because the financial industry has such a strong hold on, you know, currency that I think it's going to be, and banks control the world. So I think it's going to be a long time until you ever see something like that where you can actually use it like you can with money. That being said, as an investment vehicle, sure. I mean, obviously, if you bought Bitcoin and sold it at different times, or if you're in it now, it's obviously had the move. So I look at it like something you could trade. That is something that people can do and have been doing for quite a long time. You know, people that bought it at the beginning when it was barely worth anything at all, obviously were the best, but who would have known? That was speculation. When you buy something like that at the beginning, and it's speculation, you don't know, it's like a 50-50 crapshoot. You don't know what the future is. But a lot of people are talking about, like, it could become mainstream to actually purchase, like a dress or something. That I think is a long way off.
Where's the best way to follow you?
The best way to follow me is on YouTube, because that's where I have a lot of videos. And again, I have the nature videos segmented away from the stock videos. If you don't want to watch the nature ones, but that's probably the best place, because I put a lot of information, tons of videos, again, going back 14 years on YouTube. You can, of course, follow me on X, and I always try to post when I'm on TV or talking at a place. I was on Schwab Network this morning talking about the Walmart before the open. But I think that YouTube is the best place to follow me.
Looks like you do. So all of your nature videos are on here.
Yeah, Sean is supposed to have them segmented out. I don't know.
Yeah, they are. You've got your short section. Yeah. You've got a live in Central Park section.
Oh, he's got a good job. Categorize them. Yeah.
I'm not gonna throw any shade at Rashawn. It looks great.
Yeah, for sure.
Melissa, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You can find her at thestockswish.com. Yes. Or at StockSwish is her handle on YouTube.
Yeah, or they can email me at melissa@thestockswish.com.
I'll type that into you. Thank you. Appreciate it. You too. Thanks for spending some time with us.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.